Curating the exhibitions was a challenge, but it's a challenge that I really liked. For me in particular, it's things relating to Toynbee Hall because I come from East London. Hello, my name's Gary. I'm the archivist here at the Law Society. My job is to look after the wonderful historical documents and artefacts that we have. To my right here, we've got a print from the Builder magazine showing Toynbee Hall in Whitechapel, East London. Toynbee Hall was established in 1884 by Samuel and Henrietta Barnett, and it was where one of the very first poor man's lawyer services were established to enable the poor to access justice. This item is particularly interesting in terms of the solicitor profession today because it gives a very good example of why access to justice should be for everybody. Poor man's lawyer was basically the very first legal advice scheme which offered advice to everybody, and the Law Society today and for 200 years has been promoting access to justice for all. The very first poor man's lawyer service was established by Frank Tillyard, a barrister, and that was run by Mansfield House Settlement in Newham, East London. East London was known in the 1880s for poverty and crime. Anybody who knows East London in the 1880s will probably cite the Jack the Ripper case. This caused focus completely on East London, on the whole idea of poverty and criminality. Toynbee Hall helped to change that and helped to aid the people that needed help. Many people that were very much at the forefront of the welfare state, such as William Baveridge, Clement Attlee, they would go on to work there, and they would actually change the way that they viewed politics and the way that they viewed poverty and how people actually needed a lot of help. They would see lots of variety of cases ranging from just standard things where people wanting to claim back money for something through to people that had deaths in the family and wanted to get justice for that. Before that date, nobody would have even thought of accessing justice through anywhere. That's very significant because before that date, they probably would have just read about poverty on paper and they were facing poverty on a day-to-day basis and realising that in many cases the poor were seen as unworthy and unneedy, and they realised it was completely different. It's very relevant in terms of what the Law Society does because it links in very much with legal aid. The poor man's lawyer service was often cited as a very good example of why people needed access to legal aid, and they needed access to solicitors completely irrelevant of what their background was and what their financial background was as well. I selected this image of Toynbee Hall as part of the bicentenary exhibition because it's very personal to me. I used to work at the Whitechapel Gallery in East London. I used to do tours around the area. I like this image because it shows Toynbee Hall in a very sort of green, leafy country suburb area in Whitechapel, which if anybody knows Whitechapel now will know it's not a green, leafy suburb area. It gives me an idea and shows other people how much it's changed in the past and what the building would have been like at the time. It had been quite imposing in the area and people would have been attracted to it and seen it as it is. It's very interesting for me because it carries on doing what it set out to do. And I remember even my parents, they didn't go to Toynbee Hall, but they went to another situation where they were trying to access legal advice at the time, and without places like Toynbee Hall, they would have had no access to justice. Giving the voice to people who have no voice is something that the Law Society and the Toynbee Hall have been doing for generations.